Player tracking is so important for sports teams and coaches so they can make the best possible decisions, and this is particularly the case when it comes to all forms of football.
Victoria University is working with FIFA to establish world-first standards for electronic movement tracking devices. It's a fascinating subject, and to learn more about it all, I caught up with FIFA's Nicholas Evans, Victoria University's Rob Augie and Champion Data's Libby Owens. Nicholas, I'll start with you. Firstly, explain your role and what the FIFA Quality Program is all about.
So I'm a group leader of the FIFA Quality Program within the Football Technology Innovation Department here at FIFA. The Quality Program is the vehicle that FIFA uses to communicate with industry, with research partners and with our football stakeholders to come up with minimum standards and recommendations for the game of football that eventually can be implemented into the laws of the game.
Rob, if you could, just explain your role, the nature of your relationship with FIFA at the moment and the testing that's being done.
Yeah, look, my personal role is probably more of a logistical one and trying to get the team in the space that we can deliver on the project. So it's much less of a scientific role for me and more supporting the brilliant scientific team that we've assembled. The actual work that we're doing for FIFA is that we've been working over a 3-year period to establish the accuracy of electronic performance and tracking systems, which measure really where players are on the field of play and how fast or how much they move. It's been a long process and we've gone through several iterations of what the testing should look like, and we're now at the stage where FIFA has a quality standard that manufacturers of electronic and performance tracking systems, so EPTS, will be tested against, and we'll be performing some of that testing for them.
Libby, Champion Data is a leader in the use of sport data as a business. How have you seen it evolve and change over the years?
The short answer is a lot. I think 20 years ago there was something like 20 metrics that were captured for a sport like AFL. These days it's more like 1,200 metrics. And in recent times, I think 2016, we actually started collecting GPS data, so athlete tracking data, which is what Rob and the FIFA crew are working on. So that just builds out the breadth and the depth of the data that's available to everyone, whether it be the clubs, the athletes themselves, the league, fans. So we've seen it really evolve at every level, and clubs are growing in their use of it, the media's growing in their use of it, and obviously it's still got a long way to go as technology evolves and becomes smarter and more accessible. I think you'll see it changing more and more and quicker and quicker.
Nicholas, quality for FIFA extends beyond electronic performance tracking systems, or EPTS. It also includes the pitch, VAR, virtual offside lines and a number of other systems that need to deliver consistently and globally.
Yeah, in a nutshell, we're dealing with any sort of product, technology or service that can impact the 90 minutes of the game directly. I think goal line technology is a wonderful example that started in 2012, where it was about making sure we only allow accurate systems into the game of football. Similarly, now we're seeing the same with what we call EPTS, so player monitoring systems, virtual offside lines for video assistant refereeing. So yeah, it is about making sure that wherever these systems are used in the game, that they're both at least accurate so that they serve the purpose, and that we get a consistency to still have the same game everywhere in the world.
And Rob, just following on, how is accuracy and as we've just heard, quality critical in the decision-making process in performance and any other potential use of EPTS?
Yeah, look, in terms of the decision-making process, I mean, any time you have a measurement of something, there's some error in it. So we're not certainly suggesting that there's ever going to get to the point where there's no error in a system, but it's working within the boundaries of it. So if you've got maybe a 2% error in a particular measure, then you want to see a change in your athlete, hopefully a positive change that is greater than that 2% before you can be comfortable saying that things have actually improved. So it's about understanding the accuracy, so that's for people like us to be able to quantify the accuracy of these different systems, and then it's up to the practitioners who are within the clubs working on a daily basis to be able to put that into place and understand how they need to make decisions understanding that accuracy. In terms of other uses, there's some really exciting potential uses of this data. We've focused for decades on understanding great performance in sport, so we're looking for outstanding performance, we're looking for positive adaptation to training, and all of the good news stories around sport. But increasingly, and certainly within our group at Victoria University, we're very interested in the use of this data from an integrity perspective. The more we understand about how players play normally, so that is how they normally interact with their teammates, how they would normally interact in different situations in matches, the easier it's going to become to pick up abnormal behaviour. And in terms of match fixing or other scenarios like that, this is deliberate abnormal behaviour. So we're hopeful that we can get to the point, and we're certainly working on it at the moment with some projects underway, that we can have this as one of the tools that can be used by governing bodies of sport to help prosecute and stamp out match fixing.
Libby, where do you think the sports industry is at in truly understanding what the numbers are saying?
Look, I think certainly in Australia, and if I look at a sport like the Australian Football League, the AFL, it's world's best. We've had a lot of feedback and a lot of responses from around the world of people looking at what we're doing, and in particular with products like the tracking data, the GPS data. We're quite ahead of the curve. We're innovating at the moment around a product called time synchronisation, where we're looking at the event data, the tracking data, and making sure that we can meld that with precise time codes. And that's just going to open up a whole new world of analytics, a better understanding of what's happening in the game itself. It will provide a range of really engaging and compelling products for fans. So partners of ours, whether it be the broadcasters of the game, the digital rights holders, they get a whole range of new content that they can deliver up to fans. So we've come a long way. We've still got a long way to go, but certainly Australia is really leading the way in sports analytics and has been doing so for quite some time, and Champion Data is really at the centre of that.
Nicholas, how do you see what you're doing in this space impacting other sports?
I think it's a tricky question. We all have the same challenges to start with in terms of we need reliable data. So unless we get good data that we can actually work with, there's no point in taking a discussion any further. So I think all sports can benefit from sort of the scientific groundwork that's being done around validation, making sure that we're actually tracking players and the ball where they are, and we're getting sort of reliable speeds and accelerations. Beyond that, I think it's very difficult to transfer into too many sports. I think we're all still figuring out what exact metrics are needed to make decisions. So something that works in football to calculate distance run might not be of any relevance in a different sport. So I think that it's the sort of beginning of the data collection, data processing, where sports can really learn a lot from each other, and where we've been working very closely. When it's about exploitation and really getting insights from it, there might be stronger limitations as to how we can sort of learn from each other.
Nicholas Evans, Rob Orgie, Libby Owens, thank you very much for joining us on The Business of Sport. We certainly appreciate your time.